Another animal known to have rabies are bats. And bats can also carry a range of other diseases, including viruses related to Ebola. And so some of the work I do is actually focused on how humans interact with bats so that we can prevent bat-related illnesses. And this type of work actually took me to Nigeria last year, where every year there's a bat festival that takes place, where people capture live bats from this cave, and then these bats are later prepared as food. But our concern was that in the course of this type of festivity, people might be getting exposed to deadly viruses. So some of you might be wondering why CDC would take an interest in an activity taking place on the other side of the planet. But you have to keep in mind we live in an interconnected world. So a health threat anywhere is a health threat everywhere. And so by remaining vigilant for these types of risk factors, we can better prepare ourselves for the next outbreak.
Animals often are the source of human outbreaks. In fact, about 2/3 of all of the new diseases come from the animal kingdom. And bats are a particularly problematic species because they're mammals. So the things that infect them might well infect us. And they live in huge colonies. So diseases once in a community can perpetuate themselves for a long time, and they travel long distances so they can spread it. I was last year in a cave in Africa called Python Cave. You can imagine why it's called Python Cave. I actually saw the python. It is enormous. And our staff have done research in that cave to figure out how it is that an Ebola-like virus, these are terrible viruses that cause bleeding and death, called Marburg, had killed one person and nearly killed another, and they had localized it to this Python Cave. And they had done research in this cave to capture bats, bleed them, release them, figure out what proportion carried the Marburg virus. And when I talked to the team that did this, I said, you know, weren't you scared? And they said, well, the bats didn't scare us because we were wearing the white protective equipment. And the python didn't scare us, but the cobras scared us. And so underneath our white protective gear, we wore leather chaps.